All right, motorsport fans, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're dropping the clutch and launching straight into a high-octane digest of the 2025 Qatar Grand Prix Sprint Race. Under those incredible loose-cell floodlights, this 11-lap shootout literally gave us everything. We're talking family feuds, rookie sensations, and massive championship implications. It was an absolute thriller the second those lights went out. But, before we get to the glory, we've got to address the burning question that was hanging over the entire paddock. What on earth happened to Pecco Bagnaia? How does the reigning world champion completely lose his grip on a race like this? It's basically a perfect rivalry and redemption arc that defined the whole weekend. And to figure out how he ended up fighting in the dust, we actually need to rewind the clock just a bit to Saturday afternoon. Section 1, Qualifying Highlights. Let's look at how the stage was set. As always in MotoGP, the sprint is completely dictated by qualifying. This is where the first real cracks in Bagnaia's armor started to show. Okay, let's dive into this. Pecco actually summed it up himself with a brutally honest, expletive-laden quote about messing up his Q2 with a crucial crash. He was visibly furious. And you get it, right? Because when you're defending a world title, starting on the back foot against this grid is a massive mountain to climb. He knew he'd just made his weekend exponentially harder. Now contrast Bagnaia's frustration with the absolute precision we saw on the front row. Marc Marquez was just relentless, snatching pole position and parking that factory Ducati right at the front. And sitting directly next to him in second, his brother, Alex Marquez, on the Gresini machine. Talk about a phenomenal family dynamic on the grid. Rounding out the front row in third was Fabio Quartararo, pulling off a brilliant qualifying run for Yamaha to put himself right in the thick of it. Section 2, the start dash. Time for our 11-lap sprint. With the grid locked in under the desert night, it was time to shift into high gear. Lights out, and instantly it's a family clash off the line. Both Marc and Alex got phenomenal launches, but Marc muscled ahead to grab that vital hole shot into turn 1. But Alex, he wasn't just going to play follow the leader. With this breathless, rapid-fire pacing, Alex actually bit right back, shoving past Marc at turn 1 on lap 2. But the red corner responded instantly, and Marc snatched the lead straight back. I mean, what a spectacular, aggressive statement from both brothers right out of the gate. And this brilliantly illustrates their total dominance. For lap after lap, the gap between Marc and Alex hovered right around 0.3 seconds. It was razor thin. They were just setting blistering lap times, trading personal bests, and completely pulling away from the rest of the field in this high-speed game of cat and mouse. Honestly, neither guy was willing to give up an inch. Section 3, Mid-Race Battles, where we saw total chaos in the pack. So let's shift our focus to the middle of the pack. Because while the Marquez brothers were busy checking out at the front, absolute chaos was unfolding just a few seconds behind them. We have to talk about lap 2, because it was a complete disaster for Bagnaia. He made a decent start, got up to 8th, but then his pace just inexplicably dropped. In rapid succession, he gets blitzed. First, Pedro Acosta's KTM flies past him. Then, I. Ogura on the Trackhouse Aprilia shoves his way through. And right after that, Jorge Martin, who is returning from injury by the way, passes him too. In just a handful of corners, the world champion is totally swallowed up by the pack and tumbling down the order. You really see an incredible contrast in momentum here. Up front, Marc Marquez is riding with this flawless, metronomic rhythm, effortlessly stretching his lead to half a second. But meanwhile, rookie Fairman Aldeguer is putting on an absolute clinic, charging through the mid-pack. Aldeguer's pace was literally breathtaking. He reeled in Maverick Vinales, totally capitalized on a mistake by Johan Zarco, and was slicing his way up the grid like a seasoned veteran, not a rookie. Meanwhile, with just 3 laps to go, Bagnaia is in full damage control mode, desperately trying to salvage his race. He finally manages to string together a move on Acosta at turn 4. So, the crucial point is, this late race scramble wasn't for a podium or even a top 5. It was literally just to climb back into 9th place to secure a single championship point. That really puts into perspective just how brutal this sprint was for the champ. Section 4, Final Lap and Results. Get ready for some podium drama. As we headed into the final lap of this 11-lap sprint, the energy was just electric. The victory might have been all but decided, but the battle for that final spot on the podium was at absolute fever pitch. And the final corner delivered massive drama. Franco Morbidelli had been clinging onto third, but his gap had completely vanished as Quartararo and Aldeguer swarmed him. Morbidelli pushed his Ducati to the absolute limit and successfully secured the bronze. But right behind him, a tiny, and I mean tiny, costly error by Quartararo in the very last corner swung the door wide open. Altucher seized it, snatching fourth place right out of the Yamaha rider's hands at the very last second. No way. But up ahead, crossing the line completely untroubled, was Marc Marquez. The official winning margin, 1.577 seconds over his brother. It was just a triumphant victory for the number 93, keeping his incredible 100% sprint win record in Doha alive and kicking. He proved yet again that he is an absolute force of nature on a Saturday. Taking a quick look at our top 5 results, I mean, the Ducati dominance is just impossible to ignore here. Marc and Alex Marquez lock out the top 2 spots, Franco Morbidelli takes a hard-earned 3rd, and rookie Fermin Aldeguer secures a phenomenal 4th. Honestly, Fabio Quartararo was the only rider able to break up the Ducati party, backing up his front-row start with a highly impressive 5th-place finish for Yamaha. Moving down to the rest of the point scorers, we've got Fabio Di Giannantonio coming in 6th. A massive shout-out to I. Ogura, who secured a very strong P7 as the lead Aprilia rider. Bagnaia, as we just covered, limped across the line in a deeply disappointing P8. Bezzecchi grabbed the final sprint point in 9th, while Maverick Viñales, whose gamble on the soft rear tire completely backfired in the second half of the race, slipped all the way down to 10th. Section 5, Point Rankings. Let's look at the championship shakeup. Now, let's zoom out a bit, because these 11 high-intensity laps didn't just give us a great show, they fundamentally altered the landscape of the 2025 World Championship. The immediate impact on the standings is super clear. Marc Marquez has officially wrestled back the number 1 spot, sitting on 98 points. But look who's right on his heels. His brother Alex is just 2 points behind at 96. Meanwhile, Francesco Bagnaia's tough weekend leaves him trailing by 21 points. And in the context of a modern MotoGP title fight, a 21-point gap is a massive hurdle when you're up against 2 incredibly dialed-in Gresini and Lenovo Ducatis. Which leaves us with this huge, provocative final thought as we look ahead. Right now, Marc Marquez looks practically unstoppable under the Lucelle floodlights. He's got the pace, he's got the rhythm, and he just reclaimed the championship lead. So the big question is, can anyone find a way to step up and beat the 6-time world champion in the main Grand Prix on Sunday? It's going to be an absolute war out there on the track, and I, for one, cannot wait to see how it unfolds. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.